Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh. And this is NFGeeks.
Josh, welcome to NFGeeks today.
Yep.
We're in a new location now, Crystal Cavern.
Crystal Cavern.
Okay, so yeah, you have to go to the mystery forest and then find the magic tree and the secret door.
Climb to the top.
Yeah, the secret door, you got to go up and then down. So welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is pretty good. You know, in case people are curious, Noah is in the control room. Noah's our engineer for this. Noah, you think you can get yourself on here so we can see you? Oh, there he is. Okay. You know, this is an SJ dream, by the way. He's in a cubicle that no one can hear. No one can see him. No one can hear him. And he's in control of all the buttons.
He's Houston.
Yeah, really.
He's Houston.
You know, he's in command. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so that's great, Noah. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
So, all right. So, Josh, today for NFGeeks, we're going to talk about how NFs can turn evil. This was a request on the Facebook forum about this, and I think this would be an interesting topic because I think NFs always present themselves as being good and empathic and altruistic, and NFs have a dark side. You know, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about that and see where we go for a little while. All right, so what? So which type do you want to start with?
We can lead by example. I'll start with me, my type.
All right. So you get to comment first. What do you think are the evil parts or most evil part of ENFJ?
I think a lot of times ENFJs can be very manipulative. Mm-hmm. We're good at it anyway to begin with, and we recognize that, and so we don't have a problem using that ability to, you know, get what we want from certain situations.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've seen that to a certain degree with multiple ENFJs that are in my life, and there's something sort of Machiavellian about it because there's some sort of justified purpose or rationalized purpose.
Which is interesting because I read The Prince.
Yeah, and that's funny because, you know, Josh was in my philosophy class and I said that was like the dark side of the Force. And
I was like, oh, I like it.
Yeah, I know. Took right to it. Like, no, Mike, this is Dr. Seuss. You know, this is great. All right, do you find yourself to be Machiavellian at all, at least in your thug way, anywhere in your world?
The hug and thug. Not particularly. I think it's more of something that like kind of just happens. I don't like intentionally try to do it, but sometimes I go like, oh, if I just like, you know, pull this little string here, like maybe some dominoes can fall, but like it's more of like an opportunistic thing more than, in my case, more than like a elaborate plan type deal.
All right. What about ENFJs are sort of known for being megalomaniacal, meaning sort of I am the greatest thing in the world ever been given to the world, and I am so super awesome, unbelievable. What do you feel about that? Has that kind of crossed your path?
Yeah, it's definitely true.
Do you believe that about yourself?
A little bit, a little bit. No, I mean I don't think I'm like the greatest thing ever, but like I think I have like a really strong self-confidence about myself, and I do think I'm good enough to be good at anything I try. So I mean, it's not like far-fetched of a thing to say, but.
Well, you know, one of the things that I really laughed about, you put up a picture of yourself on Facebook, and you're at a table just standing up, and, you know, just maybe your mom took it or whatever, but there was a dish behind your head or some kind of ornament behind your head, and it made it look like you had a halo, okay, around your head. And it was hysterical because it was so very NF symbolic. I don't know if you remember the picture.
Yeah, it was. I took it of myself. It was in a mirror. It was in my bathroom.
Oh, really? Well, you had a halo around your head, you know.
It was a candle holder.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anything else you want to say about that?
No.
All right. So, you know, you were good enough to start off. So, I'll talk about ENFP. then. Is there anything particular about ENFP that you've seen that you want me to comment on?
You guys are late. You're late all the time.
That makes us evil?
No, it's not evil, but just the fact you guys are late a lot.
Okay. Let me translate that into something evil. One of the evil things is that we're okay with being mavericks and breaking the rules and kind of doing what we want the way we want it. And we get this, we rationalize this in authenticity. Like, you know, I'm a total jerk, but at least I'm honest about it. And somehow being honest about it in our mind negates whatever rotten thing that we're doing. Yeah. You know, an ENFP would say, yes, I'm a serial killer, but at least I'm saying that. I'm authentically saying I'm a serial killer. You know.
I'm not hiding.
Yeah, that's right. It's somehow that validates the serial killing. Really, okay, the way I see it, and this is just in myself, is that, you know, the difference between ENFJ and ENFP is that ENFJs are sort of megalomaniacal to a group. And even though ENFPs talk to a group, ENF are seducers. ENFPs are seducers, especially to individual people, making them feel good, bringing them into something, you know, like coming on NFGeeks or something like that. That's not evil. But ENFPs can be seductive and then leave people hanging. Right. You know what I mean? Once the seduction is over, it's on to seduce some other person, you know. I think another one, and I know this for myself, and I've talked about this with our other ENFPs, and that is, and this just happened, is that we're good at the lie of omission. And this is meant to be, again, this is authentic in our minds because we're not lying to the person. We're not telling a falsehood. We're just holding on to a little piece of it.
Certain details, leaving some details out.
Which is important, especially in terms of, you know, seduction. So I think that happens with the ENFP. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, we witnessed it today, right? So,
I know, I actually did it about an hour ago. You know, I just did this. So, yeah, I admit it. Authentically, I admit it. It's okay that I do that because, you know, I'm admitting that I seduce through holding back information. All right, what's the next type you want to talk about?
Well, before we go on to the next type, because a thought just came back to something you said about ENFJ, about another thing that we do that's not that great.
Oh, great.
Is that, we do things to people and we don't care about it as long as it benefits us or something like that?
Oh, yeah. All right, say that again.
Step ladder, like the step ladder theory?
Yes, that you would gladly step on somebody to go up and achieve some sort of greatness. And
yeah.
Toss somebody under the bus.
We slit throats.
Jeez. Boy, that's cool.
It is. Yeah. We can get pretty cold-blooded sometimes if we really want something.
Well, that's particularly scary since you're sort of the the NF thug.
Yeah.
Of NFGeeks. Yeah, I know. It's tough.
No, I mean, I'm never like, but I think you said something like we'd even like get rid of a relationship if that was the case. I don't think I would do that. I think I'm a little bit too romantic for that, but. I could definitely see myself, if I was like going for a promotion, I could definitely see myself like magically finding some dirt on someone that I'm competing with or whatever. You know, siphoning gas out their cars so they can't get to work.
Well, the reason why I say this, I said I didn't admit this before, but I've been cut loose by ENFJs. That's why. Well, because of my wacky ENFP nature, you know what I mean, who wants to be around a clown. So, especially when you're trying to rise to the top. So, I've been cut loose. That's why I say that, you know, not in a bad way, you know, I wasn't like assassinated, but, you know. So, I get that. I understand what you're saying. That's what I mean.
Right.
All right, what other types you want to talk about in terms of evil? I mean, we're going to talk about all four. What's the next one you want to go to?
Let's go INFP.
Okay, INFP. This is going to be a tough one because INFPs are very sensitive and kind of...
We're sorry in advance is what we're saying.
Yeah, really. We're just being fair because we got to talk about all the types. You know, we got to do that. All right, I think what's the thing that bothers me the most about INFP, that I think they're the most evil about? Okay. The thing that I think is really one of the things I think is very ethically questionable that the INFP does is that they love a loophole. You know what I mean? If they can find a loophole where they can do some selfish, self-absorbed thing, they'll gladly go through that loophole and then justify it through the loophole. Like, well, nobody said that I couldn't. You know, I've witnessed that with INFP multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's probably one of the more common negative qualities among INFP.
Yeah.
Like
and
even the good functional ones do it.
yeah, that's right. I've seen ones I've respected do this. Yes, right. They all
They all
do
do
that. You know, the functional ones do it a little smaller. It's not as devastating. But I think the more dysfunctional the INFP, the bigger and more problematic the thing is.
Right.
Yeah. What are some INFP things that you've seen that you think are evil in INFP?
INFPs are quitters.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've witnessed that, and I've said that before.
They get like overwhelmed and they can't deal with the situation and they just give up on it.
Yeah. Now that might not seem too bad when it's it's a minor thing, but when it's a big thing,
But it's like big things.
huge, and you're defending on them, and it's really kind of important, that's a problem because them bailing really kind of hurts and leaves you hanging.
Right.
You know, in a way, or just you fall. You know, you're expecting them to hold on to the rope, and the next thing you know, you're plummeting down I can't take your weight. You know, there it goes.
Right.
Yeah, I've experienced that. That's been tough. You know, really. All right. Anything else about INFP before we move on?
Didn't you wanted to? I think you mentioned something about the rationale theory.
Oh yeah. Okay. This will be the last one. We don't want to rank on
Yeah.
INFP too much, but the last one that's tough is that the INFP will do something impulsive and sometimes selfish, and they'll rationalize it later in the future if you called them on it, as if it was totally legit of the first thing that they did, which was impulsive and selfish. But the rationalization they're giving
Came after
going back ad hoc. They're not actually the
They
rationalization.
weren't doing it
right.
from the beginning.
Right. It wasn't, the rational thought wasn't there when it happened. They're justifying it backwards because you're calling them on it.
Right.
You know, and that's tough.
They were trying to like be quiet and get away with it. It didn't work out that way.
Or they just rationalized it through the loophole thing.
Right, yeah.
All right, that's enough for INFP. For INFPs. All right, so next is INFJ.
Right.
I have some thoughts about this that are actually current in the world. Before I begin, anything you want to say about INFJ before I start?
No, go ahead. Take the.
All right, I want you to comment on this.
All
right. Two things about INFJ is that they're kind of, they're kind of into conspiracy theories. Okay, they kind of concoct conspiracy theories that are very complex. That has to do with the introverted intuition.
Right.
And the problem is that sometimes these things come out as causes that they act like they're championing, and that somehow they're being altruistic and putting it out there when they're really just kind of being jerks, and they're really kind of being a little annoyed and angry, and there's sort of this ulterior motive. On the outside, it's like, no, I'm doing this for the greater good, taking up this cause, when really there's this little kind of, going on inside of them. So one of the examples I give, and I don't know that this person's an INFJ, but I'm kind of guessing they are, is the recent security breach with that guy Snowden, who's now hiding from the government
in
wherever
like
he is.
Moscow or something.
Right, or whatever, in a secret lair.
Yeah.
Like we are right now. Because I think he's an INFJ because he's sort of promoting this as some sort of altruistic, thing that he's doing for the greater good. But I know that whistleblowers often always have this ulterior thing going on where they're mad at somebody, or they're angry, or they want to show somebody, or they got fired, or they got hurt. And I think Snowden is one of those people, or he's symbolic of that. I'll allow symbolic. But I actually think he's an INFJ doing that.
And you sure he's not an INTJ?
No, I don't think he's an INTJ because it would be, I don't know if he'd be out with it as much. I think he's an INTJ. INTJ would do it, but they'd sort of be
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, in their cave. You'd have to go get them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Snowden was kind of about it.
Right. And then there would be sort of like supervillain about it. We're like, yes, I did it because, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with there always being some type of motive, as in like, yes, I'm the one leading this holy grail quest. You know, like, yeah, you are like taking credit for it.
Yes.
Like, but I think that's more of a bonus for a lot of the times. I don't think it's always like the frontline reason, because I mean, it is, a good cause, so to speak. Like,
right.
he's exposing like negative, corrupt things that's going on. But I think that may play a part. Like, yeah, look at the negative things I'm exposing. Look at the corruption I'm exposing. Like, he's getting behind a good cause, so he is going to benefit his name from that. For people who don't look at him as a traitor and just look at the facts of what he's showing.
Right.
But I think sometimes it can be, you know, valid that they are trying to do something good more than themselves.
That's right. We're talking about the evil INFJ.
But it is the evil, so
yes.
It's I think it's from the evil perspective. Probably 10 times out of 10, it's probably for themselves more than the actual cause.
It always seems legit on the surface, but underneath it's always trying to get them. Well, that brings up a good thing that I was thinking about. I'll try to talk about this briefly, but I have a Star Wars theory. Okay, this is great. We're going to nerd out. But I have a Star Wars theory that Darth Vader is actually an INFJ. And people think he's like an NT, but he's not.
I never thought he was an NT. I always thought he was an NF.
Oh, that's great. Because he's totally irrational.
Right.
Okay, he's on a whim he kills. And then when I realized he was an INFJ was in The Empire Strikes Back, when they find the rebel base. The Imperials find the rebel base on the screen, and the generals under the admirals are kind of like, oh, I don't know if it's them, I don't know. And Darth Vader looks at it for 2 seconds and says, "That's it, let's go." No explanation.
Right. No analysis. Just like, let's go blow it up.
And he's absolutely right. You know, he's totally right.
Because he had the NF moment, and he found it. He realized it right away.
There's no question.
Seek and destroy.
Right. Off you went.
But like too, also if you look at pre-Darth Vader, when he was still Anakin, all the things he does leading up to the Darth Vader road is like for love, and he wants to be with, you know, Padme. And he's like trying to survive, and like he's putting this robot stuff in him so he doesn't die. But all of it at the same time is counterproductive, because that's what like leads him to losing her. It's like a final destination thing, but it's very emotion based.
Yes, and on the surface it seems love, but really it's almost like a jealousy, like he can't let go.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I must have her, I must have this, you know. It's a selfish motivation, but it's projecting into this no for love and this NF kind of thing, which is real, you know.
It's like love gone wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we went through the 4, and what I want to do now is talk about the other temperaments. I don't think we have time to go through each type's temperaments, but I think we can go at least the temperament and talk about how they're evil.
Right.
So I want to start, I was going to start with NT, but actually I want to start with SJ.
Let's go SJ.
Yeah, SJ. The obvious one is that SJs are just fascists. You know
Absolutely.
I mean? Totally totalitarian, will gladly stomp on rights and feelings, no problem at all.
Right.
You know, we'll just go right through. You know, I goof on this with Noah sometimes, but you know, SJs were the best Nazis. They were awesome Nazis. Okay, they had no problem. Yes, these are the orders. You know, we got to schedule the trains just right so they make it to the camps.
Right.
You know, those are all SJs.
I mean, well, like all good soldiers are SJs, the best ones.
Right. And that's what I say, like, SJs are, you know, they're the best soldiers in the United States and cops, whatever. They're also the best Nazis, the best communists.
Right.
You know, the best ones.
Hey, man, don't commie bash. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with well-run communism.
All right, fine. Then let me make
democratic communism.
Sure. So let me make you know, off the rails communism.
Right.
The best SJs are the ones maintaining North Korea.
Right.
North Korea, in all its dysfunction, is being run by SJs. Totally. You know, they're the ones doing it. You know. So so anything else about SJ that would be particularly evil?
I think that I wouldn't say evil, but just the fact that like an SJ will never go like outside of the rules, and that will like screw you.
Right.
Like, 'cause sometimes you just need like a little bit of help. Like you just need like come on, man, can you just like bend this rule for me a little bit? And it's like, no, you're in trouble.
Okay, that's funny because Noah and I were talking about the biblical Noah and the metaphor once. And I asked him, I said, well, Noah, what would you do if you were the real Noah? And he said straight up, and you said straight up, that he would not let anybody in the ark. They could be banging on the ark and the rain's coming down and be like, let us in. And
okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, God told me to put the animals in the boat, not people.
Right, those are the rules. 2x2 animals.
Well, I think when we're talking about God rules, you got to follow them a little bit more. Like, if God actually talks to you and gives you rules, you might want to go with that a little bit more concrete. Yeah. But I'm talking like, hey, it's like 4 in the morning. There's no one on the road. It's a red light. I'm going through the red light. I don't care. An SJ would never do that.
No,
ever in life.
And an SJ cop would never let you go.
Right.
Right.
Like
they would be right on you.
An NF cop would see me go by and they'd be like, all right, this is like the first car I've seen in like 2 hours. Like, you probably ran a red light. I don't care. An SJ cop would be like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
Right. 5-0.
5-0.
They'd be right there. Yeah, I agree. So fascism for SJ. All right, what's the next temperament you'd like to do?
Thank you for that.
Let's go NT.
All right, NT. I think that the NT evil is that they become paranoid about people hating them, and they're sort of concoctors of revenge plans. Okay?
Like Batman?
Yeah, I suppose. But think of every symbolically, every truly evil villain is sort of, even like, the one from, what do you call it? I can't think of the name. The Mike Myers spy movie.
Oh, Dr. Evil?
Dr. Evil, right. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Evil is in their name. You know what I mean? I think INTJs, I think all the NTs, it's not just INTJ, all the NTs kind of get a little paranoid, and they sort of concoct revenge plans. And then the really bad ones...
Like preemptive revenge plans.
Yes, and I think the bad ones actually act on them.
Right.
Now, this is controversial, but I have a theory. This is like the Snowden guy. I have a theory that the Connecticut shooter, the guy who shot the 5-year-olds, in Connecticut,
Sandy Hook guy.
Right, the Sandy Hook guy before Christmas. I think he was an INTJ. A lot of his behaviors were INTJ, and he plotted this out. And he's got a paranoid about being sent into a foster home or into a mental institution, and he carried out his plan. Right. So that seems very NT to me.
And like another
not very SJ.
Another thing that you said, like that, because we talked about this before, was that he didn't do it so much as a wild, crazy thing to kill 5-year-olds, but he did it as revenge against mothers, so they could feel the same pain that he was feeling.
That's right. I think that is exactly what I think. I think this was an attempt to hurt mothers, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked.
All parents.
And he had some other NT, behaviors, like he used to hang out in his basement and build computers, no friends and stuff. Very kind of NT stuff.
Right.
Like that. So even if he's not an NT, I think that's symbolic of NT.
Dark
certainly.
NT.
Yeah, absolutely. So any other thoughts about NT, how they end up being evil?
No.
No? All right. You don't want them to have a revenge plot against you.
I don't want to give them too much.
Right?
I don't want to give them too much sleep.
They start plotting, against you. Yeah.
They'll be on this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they will be on this. Okay, so let's go to SPs then. That's our last one. What do you think SPs, when they're evil, what happens when they're evil? Because I have two that I can think of.
Go into 2, I'll elaborate.
Okay. The first one is that SPs are notorious for self-destruction, in the name of freedom. That they will go right off the cliff, and they don't care who they take with them. It doesn't matter. It's all, a lot of the pop stars that self-destruct are like ISFPs or ESFPs, things like that. And they don't care who they hurt, and sometimes it leads to true self-destruction, like death. The consequences of how this affects other people in the long term is, not there. They're not doing it. So I think that is the strongest.
Because I don't think they're good planners.
No, that's right.
They live in the now, and they have no care about the future. So that's why that happens, I think, more often with SPs, the self-destruction thing. Because they're not thinking what this is going to happen later on. They're just thinking about the now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The other one I often think about is that SPs, and SPs are going to hate this, but this is true. SPs, I think, have no problem lying. I think they have the least worry about lying in a situation. And again, that's probably because they're trying to get out of a situation, you know, so they're just thinking tactically. But they seem to be the ones that are totally okay lying. And I find that SPs can be very sort of, you know, manipulative as con artists, you know, to kind of manipulate you into buying, you know, land in Florida that doesn't actually exist.
Swampland.
You know, right, swampland, or like used car salesmen. I think SPs are the ones that do that and have no problem scamming people, you know, sometimes. You know, they don't, you know, suffer fools, and, you know, they'll take advantage, you know. What do you think about that?
I think that seems valid to me too, because of how their integrity system works. Not to say that they don't have integrity, but
no, that's right.
They'll prioritize lying in certain situations if it works out that that's what they need to do to go on with their thing.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. That one thing that is true about all the types is that, and all the temperaments, is that when they are evil, they're true to type. You know what I mean? They're evil within the type that they're in, or
they don't commit random acts of evil. They commit the acts of evil that belong in their bracket.
Right, and they don't act like the other types.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't.
Yeah.
You know, if an NF is lying, it's more to do with the emotion of it. You know, the feeling that's going on. And the justified, again, like the INFJ, the altruistic, well, I'm taking one for the team, and, you know, that kind of irrationalness, you know, or the INFP doing that backwards thing, or the ENFP seducing, you know what I mean? We can lie, but the motive is very different.
Right.
Right. In the NT, it's strategic. They've rationalized that it's strategic. At this moment, at this time, it's rational to lie at this time.
Right.
You know?
So the same crime, different motives.
That's right. SJs, I find that they'll lie if they're given orders.
Right.
You know what I mean, if part of
if
the orders,
they're told to lie, they'll lie.
They will lie. Like, you know, death camps, where? We don't know anything about that. We're just monitoring trains. I mean, the trains come in, the trains go out.
Like that movie with, it's like that army movie with like Tom Hanks, and they're trying to figure out like why like the cadets and the Marines like killed the guy, and he's like, the squad, God, country. Like squad comes first. Like he's not.
Yeah.
No.
All right, you mean the Tom Cruise movie? The Tom Cruise
movie. Yeah, that's what it is.
In the court.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what it is.
A Few Good Men. Is that
A Few Good Men. I think that's what.
Yeah, that's right. They were given orders. And again, the officers had no problem lying. You know, no, we didn't give the code red.
Yeah.
You know, because they were ordered to lie. You know, so that seems very SJ to me.
Yeah, super SJ.
Yeah. All right, so we had about 2 minutes left. So how do you want to cap this about this? First, I guess one thing I want to say is that all the types have an evil, dysfunctional side and a functional, good side.
A yin and a yang.
Yes, that's right. And we're just talking about the bad side. Of course, every type has a very good side as well. And this isn't an attempt to drag everybody through the mud.
Right.
You know, it's just really trying to give the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think which is like important, because you know you don't want to just get all the cream puff stuff all the time. You want to get
and that's what NFGeeks does.
We do
a lot of times.
We privilege the flowery and the fluffy over the nitty gritty.
Right, particularly about NFs.
But sometimes you need a little nitty gritty. You know what I mean? You need a little bit. You need a bit of cream in your coffee, and you need a little bit of pepper on your egg.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, Josh, that's it for this episode. This was great. You know, here we are in the new set and everything.
Looks great. Awesome.
Thank you very much for being on. Any last words? We got a few minutes, a few seconds.
Keep watching. Come back. We'll always got stuff for you guys.
All right, great. So that's it. Thank you very much.